choose you. I choose you. I choose you.
What's up? Welcome to Jinked Inked. I'm Courtney, and in today's video, we're gonna be making a sculpture with Fimo Professional. But wait, there's more. We're gonna be making the second half of the sculpture out of Sculpey Premo. So the first thing I wanted to do was lay down a quick sketch in Procreate to get a good idea of what I wanted to sculpt. Once that's done, I get going. That looks like the right amount. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just, I don't know, I've seen people do this stitch and then twist it up like this. I'm just taking my armature wire and creating a branch shape that looks pleasing, then bulk it out with tinfoil. So I'm gonna switch it up. In the picture I have the chameleon sitting here, but I have a feeling the chameleon might be a little bit heavier than the snake wrapped around the branch here. And I like the way I have this set up here. The snake's gonna be coming down and looking up right here, and the chameleon's gonna be going up and be like, there's a snake in this tree. So now I'm gonna open up this package. Open. Oh, I'm so excited. Feels rubbery. So this one is the Fimo Professional. I heard you really have to like get in there. You can see like every little piece of dust already. My DNA is all over this thing. Alright, so I'm just gonna keep kneading it. You don't have to do the whole thing on camera. We're gonna take these popsicle sticks, we're gonna put them down, and then when I use the roller, it'll see even, but theoretically. And now I just need to go through and smooth it out and add like to make it look like it's a branch. The first problem is it kept sticking to this roller. So I saw that you can use some cornstarch and put it down, and then that should help with it sticking. So I'll try and see if I have any cornstarch. If not, I'll have to get some, but that's annoying. It's time to stick it in the oven and bake it. It baked! I must have did it right. It feels hard. This is like the general shape I want to go for, and then have the head cut off, and I think I'll just cut this off and do the tail and the head separately. I made the armature for the chameleon's base of the body. Then I poked holes to put the wire through for the legs. Alright, so I think I have a very rough skeletal thing of the chameleon. Hopefully it looks good. I don't know, scale-wise, I should have made this probably bigger. That could be a small branch that he's chilling on. It looks like they sit on small branches. Covered it in foil and began laying out thin pieces of clay, about the thickness of a popsicle stick, all the way around until the base is completely covered. I used my X-Acto or hobby knife to cut off excess clay. Use various tools to see what works best for smoothing and shaping. I took apart a mechanical pencil to use the various round pieces to create this texture all over the body. Now, for the head, I sculpted this separate so I wouldn't mess up the body that I was so proud of. After shaping out the head, I use a large ball stylus to create the eye sockets. Roll balls for the eyes and create snakes of clay to create the lids around the eyes. I then start to form the jaw and the tongue. The rubbing alcohol gets off any fingerprints and debris. I'm creating that same texture with the pencil. Now to attach the head with some clay and some bacon bond. I soon began to realize the difficulty of attaching a soft, unbaked head to a baked body. I found that I could have still sculpted the head and body separate, but I should have just set the body aside and waited for it to bake. That way, I could have put the skewer into the body and then added the bacon bond for extra security, or at least left a hole for the skewer to go into. After much effort, I bulked out the neck and smoothed it out to make it look like one cohesive piece, and then began to add some snakes of clay under the neck to create some wrinkles. I added some bacon bond so that the new clay would stick to the baked clay. Then I add a little half circles to the knees and blend them out. Add some snakes of clay for wrinkles for the joints to look more natural. Next, I create the feet. Wait, how did I get an eyelash in there? If anybody knows how to avoid getting debris in the clay, let me know. Then I add some bacon bond to the back, add some clay, smooth it out, size out the size of the tail with some wire, I wrap thinner wire around the base wire so that the clay sticks better. Then create a divot for the tail to go into and smooth it on out. Now, on to the next part of the sculpture, and let's get some first impressions of this Sculpey Premo. It feels very similar to the Fimo. You know what? I have a little bit left. So originally, this is actually softer. This is softer. The Sculpey Premo feels a little bit softer than Fimo. Let's get to conditioning this and getting it around this length here. Wow, okay. So after I conditioned the clay, I rolled it into a nice ball, and then I began to slowly roll it into a snake, applying even pressure as I roll it out. Then I roll it thinner towards the end to create the tail. Cut it open with the X-Acto knife and lay in the armature wire. Let's see Seal it back up and smooth it out. And start to position it onto the branch. Alright, so I needed to get a little bit more of the navy, and they didn't have any at the Michaels, so I mixed a little bit of this like shimmery green color and a little bit of black, and then got this color, which is pretty close to the blue. Not exactly cool, right? But it's okay because most of it's gonna get covered up anyway, but I think it's gonna be cool to have this like shimmery color underneath. Once I have the head in a general shape, I use my ball stylus to create another hole to attach the head to the body, bulk it out, and smooth it to give it a seamless look. I added a little popsicle stick for support while I finished the details on the head. I got out some small glass domey thingies that I heard were called cabochons and painted them for the eyes. I used black paint and some glow-in-the-dark green. After several different trial and errors to get the look I wanted for the scales, I decided to cut out individual tear shapes and smooth down the sides so that the middle stuck up a bit, and just repeated this all over the snake. Whew, this took a long time. And make sure you put little balls of clay behind the cabochon so that you don't get any air pockets. Then I used my cutting mats grid to cut out even shapes for the belly. We're all done and it's time for baking. The head seems to want to dip down, so I leave the popsicle stick for support in hopes that it'll stay in the right position during the bake. Unfortunately, this bake did not go as smooth as the first, and the head completely snapped off in a horrible, unclean, hard to fix way. Off camera, I spent a bit of time fixing it and to get it to look right, and once I did, I rebaked it and then moved to the paint. These are the colors I used, and I mixed them up to get various shades. I dry brushed the scales with a lighter green, and once that dried, then with a yellow, I dry brushed it again to really make it pop and give it some dimension. By dry brushing instead of just laying on the paint will stay on top and act like highlights rather than getting in all the creases. Now, for the chameleon, I watered down the paint a bit first so that the paint can get into all the cracks with my base color. And then I just used the regular paint, nothing added, no dry brush, nothing like that. And I add all the other colors and details. Now, for some finishing touches, I used some reindeer moss to add some foliage and adhered it with some Mod Podge. Then, lastly, I sealed it with a matte clear coat finish, and boom! My first sculpture is complete. I'm really happy with how it came out, especially since this was my first time. Now, let's check out these awesome glowing eyes.
Close the eyes.
Let's talk about how much clay went into making this sculpture. If I were to make it with these little packs, whether it be Sculpey 3, the Fimo Professional, or the Sculpey Premo, if I were to use these little 2-ounce packets, it would take 8.5 packs of clay. Or you'll need 1 pack of the 1 pound clay. Then you'll also need 1 of these 2 ounces, and that should be enough. Or 2 of these and 1 of these. I just wanted to let you guys know how much clay I used to make the sculpture that I made, so that if you were thinking how much clay you needed for a sculpture of a similar size, you kind of could have an idea of how much to get. And I always recommend getting a little bit more than you need, because I had to go to the store a couple times to get extra packs that I ran out of. So it's always good to have a little bit extra if you can. So I think both the Fimo Professional and the Sculpey Premo are very similar. The Sculpey Premo is a little bit softer, but they're very similar to work with. So I think they're both fairly easy to use. But so that's it for me today. I hope you guys like the sculpture. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, be kind, stay positive, and keep creating.